When I confronted my mother and her new lover in court, my lawyer stood up and said, "Your Honor, one more witness." The entire room fell silent. My chest tightened. "No, it can't be," I whispered. My mother's smile vanished the moment she saw who was about to walk in. Spokane County Superior Court, February 16th, 2026. I sat 12 feet away from Diane Ellis, the woman who raised me for 32 years, the woman I once trusted with everything. She looked relaxed, almost bored. Legs crossed, chin high like this. Hearing was just a minor inconvenience before her next appointment. Marcus Hale sat directly behind her in the gallery, arms folded, wearing that same quiet arrogance he'd carried for months, the look of a man who thought he'd already secured his place in our family's future. "My name is Brooke Ellis. I'm 32. 9 months earlier, I still believed the only family I had left was the one staring back at me across the aisle. I work as a payroll coordinator at a logistics firm in Spokane Valley, earning enough to cover my share of the mortgage after Dad passed. Mom controlled the 3 nail salons we inherited. Marcus appeared as her marketing consultant. That title came with a salary I never questioned until the numbers started screaming that something was wrong. Lauren Whitaker. My attorney rose without hurry. She never rushes. "Your Honor," she repeated, voice calm and clear, "one more witness." Diane's lips curved into that familiar, confident half-smile, the one she wore whenever she thought she had every angle covered. Marcus leaned forward slightly, elbows on his knees, ready to watch the end of this chapter. The doors at the back of the courtroom opened with a soft click. Diane's eyes flicked toward the sound. Her smile froze mid-curve. Then it shattered. Color drained from her face in seconds. Her hands gripped the table edge so hard her knuckles turned white. Marcus's posture snapped upright. His confident slouch vanished as he stared down the aisle at the figure approaching the stand, the one person neither of them ever imagined would appear here on my side. I whispered it again, barely audible even to myself. "No, it can't be." The judge called the witness forward. The room stayed deathly quiet. I could hear the faint hum of the air vents overhead and my own heartbeat pounding in my ears. That single second, when my mother's carefully built world cracked wide open, is where this story truly begins. Right then, I only thought one thing. If you've ever faced the person who raised you across a courtroom, knowing they chose betrayal over you, would you still be able to meet their eyes? I'm still telling this, so if you're watching right now, hit like and subscribe to stay with stories like mine. Drop a comment. Tell me where you are and what time it is where you're at. I read every single one. Let's keep going. 6 months earlier, everything still felt almost normal. I was still living in the house with Mom after Dad had been gone for 8 months, and I believed she was the only anchor I had left. My job as a payroll coordinator at the logistics company in Spokane Valley kept me busy 5 days a week, entering hours, calculating overtime, making sure drivers got paid on time. It wasn't glamorous, but it was steady, and it paid the bills, or at least most of them. Mom Diane controlled everything else, the 3 nail salons we inherited, one in downtown Spokane, one in the valley, and one across the border in Coeur d'Alene. She handled the books, the deposits, the payroll for the technicians. I never looked too closely because I trusted her completely. One evening I was balancing our joint household account online, just routine stuff, when I clicked on the linked business checking for the salons. The statement loaded, and there it was, a recurring transfer labeled Marketing Consultant Marcus Hale. $4,800 every month for the past 5 months. I stared at the screen, my stomach dropping. Who was Marcus Hale? I had met him once or twice. Mom introduced him as a friend helping with promotions, but this amount didn't look like a one-off expense. I printed the page, folded it, and put it in my drawer. I waited until dinner that night when we were both at the kitchen table. I kept my voice calm. "Mom, I saw a charge on the salon account for marketing consultant Marcus Hale. $4,800 a month. Is that normal?" She looked up from her plate. smiled the way she always did when she wanted to reassure me. "Oh, honey, that's just business. He's helping us get more clients, online ads, social media stuff. It's an investment, it'll pay off soon." She reached over, squeezed my hand. "You're worrying too much. Everything's fine." I nodded, tried to smile back, but something felt off. I said okay and changed the subject. After she went to bed, I went back to my room, opened the drawer, and looked at the printout again. I wanted to believe her, I really did, so I put the paper away and told myself it was nothing. But I kept the file open on my laptop just in case. Later that night, I heard her phone buzz on the kitchen counter. She had left it charging. I didn't mean to snoop, but the screen lit up with a message preview from Marcus. "Don't worry, the girl doesn't know anything, Mom will handle it." My heart stopped. I stared at those words until the screen went dark. I whispered to the empty room, "What are you handling, Mom?" When I read that message, I asked myself, if you discovered someone close to you hiding something big like that, what would you do next? I'm telling the rest now. The next morning, I decided to talk to Taylor. She was my younger sister, 29, and we had always been close. Late night talks, shared secrets, the kind of bond I thought nothing could break. I met her for coffee at the little shop near her apartment in the South Hill area. I told her everything: the recurring transfers, the marketing consultant named Marcus Hale, the $4,800 a month, Mom's smooth explanation, and how uneasy it made me feel. Taylor listened quietly, nodding, squeezing my hand across the table. She said she would keep an eye out and let me know if she noticed anything odd at the salons. I left feeling lighter, like I wasn't alone anymore. 24 hours later, everything changed. I came home from work to find Mom waiting in the living room, arms crossed, eyes sharp. Taylor had told her every word. Mom didn't waste time. She stood up and pointed at me. "You ungrateful child," she said, voice low and furious. "How dare you go behind my back spreading lies about me and Marcus? You're trying to tear this family apart after everything I've done for you." I stood there, stunned, mouth open, unable to speak at first. "Mom, I just asked a question," I said finally. I wasn't accusing anyone, but she wasn't listening. She called me selfish, disloyal, said I was poisoning the air with suspicion. Taylor wasn't there. She had texted me earlier saying she had to work late, but I knew she had relayed it all. Mom stormed to her room and slammed the door. I sat on the couch shaking, realizing in that moment I had no one left to trust. From then on, the money started disappearing faster. Mom reduced my monthly support from the family account from $2,000 to $800, claiming business was tight. Yet the transfers to Marcus continued, now even larger, sometimes $6,000 in a single week, labeled promotional expenses. I checked the joint account daily and watched the balance drop. Groceries became ramen packets and canned soup. I started bringing leftovers from the office break room for lunch. My coworkers noticed, but I brushed it off with a joke about trying to eat healthier. At home, Mom acted as if nothing had happened, chatting about the weather while she scrolled through her phone, probably texting Marcus. Taylor barely spoke to me anymore. When she did come over, she stayed in Mom's room laughing about something I wasn't part of. One night, about 2 weeks later, I couldn't sleep. I got up for water and heard voices from Mom's office down the hall. The door was cracked open just enough. Mom was on speakerphone with Marcus. "If she dares to sue us," Mom said calmly, "we'll say she's making it all up to steal the salons. She's unstable since her father died. Let her try." The line went quiet for a second, then Marcus laughed softly. When I heard that sentence, I felt like I'd been stabbed in the back twice. Have you ever been betrayed by family in a way that changes how you see everything? I'm still shocked remembering it, but the story continues. The weeks after that overheard phone call turned the house into a silent battlefield. Mom kept up the routine, asking about my day, commenting on the weather, but every conversation felt forced, every glance calculated. Then Taylor's birthday arrived. Mom organized a lavish celebration at the South Hill house, fairy lights strung across the backyard, long tables loaded with catered trays of shrimp skewers and mini quiches. a towering chocolate cake with gold leaf, and the entire extended family invited aunts, uncles, cousins, neighbors. Everyone except me. No invitation, no casual mention over breakfast, nothing. I only discovered it when Taylor's Instagram Live popped up on my phone. I was parked at Northtown Mall after work engine off, staring at the dashboard to delay going home, when the notification buzzed. I tapped it out of habit. The live was already in full swing, the backyard glowing under string lights, laughter spilling from the speakers, Taylor in a sparkly dress blowing out candles, while Mom stood beside her, clapping proudly. Then Marcus stepped into frame. He slid behind Mom, wrapped his arms around her waist, pressed a kiss to her cheek. Mom turned laughing and kissed him back, a deep, lingering kiss right in front of the camera, in front of the whole family. Marcus pulled away just enough to murmur into the mic, "Honey, you look stunning tonight." The live comments flooded with heart emojis and congratulations. Someone typed, "New couple goals." Mom beamed, resting her head on his shoulder, while Taylor raised the cake slice like a trophy. I watched the entire scene in stunned silence, the sound of their happiness stabbing deeper with every second. Mom looked freer, younger, more alive than she had since Dad's funeral. Taylor grinned ear to ear, completely at ease in this new picture that didn't include me. I exited the live, hands trembling so badly I dropped the phone onto the passenger seat. Tears came instantly, hot, angry, unstoppable. I sat there in the dark parking lot, forehead against the steering wheel, sobbing until my chest ached and my breath came in ragged gasps. The mall lights reflected off the hood, blurring through the wet windshield. I kept seeing that kiss replay in my mind, the way Mom leaned in without hesitation, the way she didn't glance around for approval, the way she had chosen this moment to make it official. This wasn't just a fling. This was her replacing everything we had lost with him. My phone buzzed again. A message from Taylor. I wiped my eyes and opened it, hoping against hope for some explanation, some sorry. Instead, the words hit like a slap. "Sis, stop trying to ruin Mom's happiness. She deserves someone who makes her smile again. Let it go." I stared at the screen until it timed out and went black. My own sister, the one I had trusted with my deepest fears, had just told me to vanish from their lives. That message left me completely numb. If you've ever watched someone you love change entirely because of a new person in their life, how did it feel? I'm still shaking when I think back on it, but the story goes on. The days after Taylor's birthday message turned the house into a place I barely recognized. Mom moved through the rooms like nothing had happened, humming while making coffee, but her eyes never met mine for more than a second. Taylor had vanished from my life completely. No calls, no texts, except that one cruel line. Then the legal packet arrived. It came via certified mail, thick and official, from Spokane County Family Court. I tore it open in the Target parking lot on Division Street, after grabbing a few groceries I could barely afford. The documents laid it out cold. Mom had filed to contest the estate distribution, demanding 80% of the 3 nail salons for herself. She had sworn under oath that their combined value was only $180,000, less than half what Dad had estimated before he died. The petition accused me of contributing nothing meaningful to the family assets, claimed my presence created ongoing conflict, and proposed I receive 20% in cash with no ongoing ownership or control. Attached was a proposed settlement that felt like a forced eviction from my own inheritance. My knees buckled against the car door. I slid down to sit on the curb, papers shaking in my hands, breath coming in shallow bursts. The parking lot spun, cars pulling in and out, people pushing carts, but all I could see were those numbers and the word minimally. I thought I would faint right there on the concrete, the world narrowing to a pinprick of panic. I stayed like that until a shopper asked if I was okay. I mumbled something and got back in the car. When my hands stopped trembling enough to drive, I headed straight to the downtown Spokane Public Library. I needed somewhere quiet, somewhere the walls weren't closing in. I wandered the aisles without direction, ending up in the legal reference section. I pulled a book on contested estates off the shelf just to have something solid to hold. Tucked inside the front cover like it had been waiting for me was a business card, Lauren Whitaker, attorney at Law, Family and Estate Litigation. On the back in neat blue handwriting, she's worth fighting for. Call her. I stared at it for what felt like forever, heart hammering again, but this time with something close to possibility. I stepped out to the small patio behind the building away from the quiet hum of readers inside and dialed the number. Lauren picked up on the second ring, voice calm and steady. I spilled it all in a rush: the filing, the undervalued salons, the 80% claim, how Mom had isolated me, how Taylor had turned. My voice cracked on Taylor's name. Lauren didn't interrupt. When I finished, she asked gently, "Brooke, do you have any records? Old appraisals, bank statements? Anything showing the true value?" I told her about the printouts I had kept hidden. She paused for a beat. "This is strikingly similar to a case I handled 3 years ago, a mother undervaluing assets, pushing out a daughter, claiming minimal contribution. We won. The other side forfeited nearly everything." Her words cut through the fog like sunlight. For the first time in months, a real spark of hope flickered inside me. Lauren's confidence made the impossible feel reachable. Lauren's voice gave me the first real hope I'd felt in months. Have you ever found someone who stepped in at the exact moment you needed them most? I'm telling the rest now. The weeks after Taylor's birthday message turned the house into a place I barely recognized. Mom moved through the rooms like nothing had happened, humming while making coffee, but her eyes never met mine for more than a second. Taylor had vanished from my life completely. No calls, no texts, except that one cruel line. Then the legal packet arrived. It came via certified mail, thick and official, from Spokane County Family Court. I tore it open in the Target parking lot on Division Street after grabbing a few groceries I could barely afford. The documents laid it out cold. Mom had filed to contest the estate distribution, demanding 80% of the 3 nail salons for herself. She had sworn under oath that their combined value was only $180,000, less than half what Dad had estimated before he died. The petition accused me of contributing nothing meaningful to the family assets, claimed my presence created ongoing conflict, and proposed I receive 20% in cash with no ongoing ownership or control. Attached was a proposed settlement that felt like a forced eviction from my own inheritance. My knees buckled against the car door. I slid down to sit on the curb, papers shaking in my hands, breath coming in shallow bursts. The parking lot spun, cars pulling in and out, people pushing carts, but all I could see were those numbers and the word minimally. I thought I would faint right there on the concrete, the world narrowing to a pinprick of panic. I stayed like that until a shopper asked if I was okay. I mumbled something and got back in the car. When I could move again, I headed straight to the downtown Spokane Public Library. I needed quiet air conditioning, anything to stop the spinning. I wandered the aisles without direction, ending up in the legal reference section. I pulled a book on contested estates off the shelf just to have something solid to hold. Tucked inside the front cover like it had been waiting for me was a business card, Lauren Whitaker, attorney at Law, Family and Estate Litigation. On the back, in neat blue handwriting, "She's worth fighting for. Call her." I stared at it for what felt like forever, heart hammering again, but this time with something close to possibility. I stepped out to the small patio behind the building, away from the quiet hum of readers inside, and dialed the number. Lauren picked up on the second ring, voice calm and steady. I spilled it all in a rush: the filing, the undervalued salons, the 80% claim, how Mom had isolated me, how Taylor had turned. My voice cracked on Taylor's name. Lauren didn't interrupt. When I finished, she asked gently, "Brooke, do you have any records? Old appraisals? Bank statements? Anything showing the true value?" I told her about the printouts I had kept hidden. She paused for a beat. "This is strikingly similar to a case I handled 3 years ago, a mother undervaluing assets, pushing out a daughter, claiming minimal contribution. We won. The other side forfeited nearly everything." Her words cut through the fog like sunlight. For the first time in months, a real spark of hope flickered inside me. Lauren's confidence made the impossible feel reachable. Lauren's voice gave me the first real hope I'd felt in months. Have you ever found someone who stepped in at the exact moment you needed them most? I'm telling the rest now. The months before the hearing became an endurance test of silence and strategy. Mom and I stayed under the same roof. Washington law didn't force separation during an estate dispute, but the house felt like two separate territories divided by invisible walls. We moved around each other like ghosts. I ate in my room. She watched TV in the living room with the volume low. No good mornings, no good nights, no eye contact longer than a glance. The air stayed thick with everything unsaid. Then Mom escalated in ways that felt calculated. One Thursday evening, I came downstairs for a glass of water and walked into the dining room lit by candles. Soft music played from her phone, plates of grilled salmon and roasted vegetables set for two, wine poured into stem glasses. Marcus sat at the table in Dad's chair, sleeves rolled up, smiling, as Mom leaned over to kiss his cheek. She looked up when I appeared in the doorway, her expression calm and unapologetic. She didn't speak, she just turned back to Marcus, laughed at something he said, and placed a hand on his arm. He nodded at me politely as if I were a neighbor dropping by. I froze in the doorway, throat tight, then turned and climbed the stairs without a word. Their laughter followed me, quiet, intimate, meant to be heard. It wasn't accidental. It was a message delivered without speaking. This house, this life, this future no longer included me. Every morning at 5:30, my alarm went off in the dark. I sat at the desk in my room with only the laptop glow for light, flash drive, inserted spreadsheets open. I built the case piece by piece, timelines of every transfer to Marcus, labeled as marketing, every payment to Taylor, coded as administrative support, old appraisals Dad had saved, showing the salon's worth $350,000 combined, cross-referenced against Mom's sworn valuation of $180,000. I annotated discrepancies in red saved versions with timestamps, backed everything to encrypted drives. My fingers flew across the keys. This was payroll work turned into armor. Some mornings I finished before the sky lightened, closed the laptop, and lay back staring at the ceiling, counting down the days until court. Patience had become my sharpest tool. The night before the hearing, the tension snapped. I was in bed reviewing final notes when a knock came at my door, soft but firm. Mom never knocked. I opened it slowly. She stood in the hallway in her robe, hair loose, face composed but eyes burning. She didn't step inside. She just said, "You really think you can beat me? I've been playing this game longer than you've been breathing." Her tone was even almost conversational, but the words carried a lifetime of certainty. She held my gaze for a long moment, then turned and walked away without waiting for a reply. I closed the door, leaned against it, heart pounding but steady. That single sentence ignited something final inside me, no anger, just unbreakable focus. Her words that night pushed my resolve to a level I didn't know I had. If you had been standing in my doorway facing your own mother, what would you have said back to her right then? I'm telling the final part now. February 16th, 2026, Spokane County Superior Court. The courtroom smelled faintly of old wood polish and coffee. I sat beside Lauren Whitaker at the plaintiff's table, folders, aligned, pulse steady for the first time in months. Across the aisle, Mom sat rigid in a navy blazer, hands folded, chin level, the picture of composure. Marcus Hale occupied the gallery seat directly behind her legs, crossed, expression relaxed, as if this were merely a formality he would walk away from unscathed. Judge Allison Park entered, steel gray hair pulled tight, reading glasses perched low. She had a reputation for cutting through nonsense with surgical precision. Mom's attorney opened. He argued the salons were fairly valued at $180,000, that I had contributed little beyond occasional household help, and that Mom's 80% claim reflected her decades of management and sacrifice. He spoke with the confidence of someone who believed the numbers were unchallengeable. Lauren stood next. She didn't raise her voice or gesture dramatically. She simply presented the evidence in layers subpoenaed payroll records showing Marcus Hale paid $67,200 over 14 months as a marketing consultant who produced zero deliverables, no campaigns, no reports, no metrics. Taylor Ellis. My sister listed for $14,400 in administrative support she never performed. Transfers totaling over $80,000 mislabeled as business expenses. Old appraisals Dad had saved proving the salons were worth $350,000 combined. Mom's sworn declaration undervaluing the assets by nearly half constituted clear fraud. Then Lauren delivered the line that shifted the air. Your Honor, we call Jordan Ellis as our final witness. The doors opened. Jordan walked down the aisle in a charcoal suit posture, calm but deliberate. Mom's face went white in an instant. Her hands clutched the table edge, knuckles blanching. Marcus snapped forward, his casual slouch-erased eyes locked on Jordan like he had seen a ghost. Jordan took the stand, swore the oath, and spoke without hesitation. He explained Mom's identical pattern 25 years earlier in her divorce from his father: hidden accounts, undervalued business interests, sworn claims of minimal contribution from his dad. He authenticated the 25-year-old audio recording and played it for the court. Mom's younger voice cut through the silence. He doesn't understand anything about money. I'll take care of my own future. The recording ended. Mom stared at the floor, face ashen, breathing shallow. Marcus looked ready to bolt. Mom's attorney objected strenuously. Judge Park overruled without pause. The evidence was admissible. The judge asked direct questions about the sworn valuation discrepancies and the fictitious payroll. Mom's attorney requested a recess. Denied. Judge Park said she had heard sufficient. She ruled clearly and without hesitation due to deliberate dissipation of estate assets and fraudulent sworn financial disclosures. Brooke Ellis was awarded 70% of the salon's true appraised value, full title to the family home, and equitable distribution of all related accounts. The remaining funds were frozen pending independent valuation. She referred the matter to the Washington State Bar Association for perjury investigation and to the IRS for potential tax fraud involving fictitious payroll deductions and unreported income. Marcus Hale and Taylor Ellis were named as recipients of questionable payments subject to review. I rose before the gavel fell. I looked directly at Mom and said loud enough for the entire room to hear, "From this moment forward, I have no mother and no sister." I turned, walked past the bar and out of the courtroom without a backward glance. Mom remained seated silent. Marcus stayed frozen in the gallery. Taylor had not appeared. This story taught me one unshakable truth. Blood alone doesn't guarantee loyalty. Justice backed by hard evidence and the courage to stand alone, those are the things that never betray you. This story made me realize a lot of things about family and trust. What about you? Which part of this story hit you the hardest or made you think the deepest? Share honestly in the comments. I'll read every sincere one and reply. Thank you all for taking the time to watch the video. If you found this story meaningful, don't forget to like, leave a comment, sharing your thoughts, and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any upcoming videos.